Tēnā koutou and welcome to everyone joining us today for this webinar. Today we're going to hear from the team at Clarion, who are Esri Gold partners, on how to take control of your field operations using Clarion. They have a great webinar lined up for us today, so I'm really looking forward to it. But first, to introduce myself, I am Dan Clark from the Utilities team at Eagle Technology. And also joining me from Eagle is Claire Thurlow, our training manager. I just want to before we get started, just give a quick thank you to Claire, because without her, these webinars wouldn't happen. So thanks to Claire for arranging this and putting it all together. Eagle and Clarion, we've had a partnership for a few years now and have been working together on successful outcomes for several Esri and Clarion sites here in New Zealand. So joining us today all the way from Atlanta in the US, we have Chris Kelly, CEO and founder, and Michelle Vigneault, Global Partner Manager from Clarion. Some of you in the audience today may have actually met them both at the recent New Zealand Esri conference in Auckland. Quick bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions during the webinar, there should be a questions panel to the right of the screen, somewhere around there. So pop your questions in there and we will try to address them as we go, but we will also have a Q&A with the team at the end. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Chris to kick things off.
Thanks, Dan, and good to be with everybody. Good morning. As Dan mentioned, my name is Chris Kelly. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Clarion, and I am just back a couple weeks from the Esri New Zealand User Conference, and it was a pleasure being in your wonderful country, and it's great to have the opportunity to speak to you again today. We have quite a bit to cover, and want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I will jump into the agenda. I'll spend a few minutes just to introduce the company, Clarion, and talk a bit about the markets and the industry solutions that we provide, discuss some of the workflows, and actually provide some product demonstrations, and then we should have some time at the end for live Q&A. As Dan mentioned, we're headquartered in the southeast of the US. We've been working with end users in New Zealand for nearly the last 10 years. And have been partnered with Eagle for a number of years in an informal, supportive way, and are very excited to have signed a formal distributor relationship with Eagle since 2020. So what I'm going to talk about today is the work that we do to support complex field work processes to enable organizations, infrastructure organizations like utilities, electric utilities, transportation agencies, water utilities, and conservation groups to plan and manage work in a native GIS solution. And when I talk about complex work, this is one of the examples that hopefully will illustrate is work that needs to go through a lot of hands in order to be done in an organized, correct, audited, and reportable way. And we'll show a number of solution areas, but all of these solutions that we show for the various industry groups that we'll be covering today, they're all built with the same platform technology and all share a number of features and benefits, a lot of which we will get into in more detail in the demos. But really the key takeaway is that the entire multi-year life cycle of maintenance and construction work across multiple asset types between utilities and infrastructure can be fully digitized and natively geospatial through the Clarion and Esri solution. And the way that we do that is through native Esri applications. We have an office application for managers and supervisors. We have a field application that is cross-platform for each role within the various field tasks that need to be performed. And then all of that information is consumable real-time with Esri dashboards and other BI tools. And so to touch a little bit more on that, the Office application is really a comprehensive program management solution or application that allows you to build multi-year work plans, dispatch scheduled and reactive patrols, and then to actually take the work that's identified through those patrols or reactive incoming tasks and get those put out to the crews. And the web application allows you to monitor the work across your entire portfolio of annual tasks, whether you do all that work with in-house crews or contractors. And then the Field app is available in the app stores. It's designed for Apple, Android, and Microsoft phones and tablets. And it is a purpose-built application that integrates with the web component to really organize work and allow work to flow through those complex processes in a very organized and controlled way. So the solutions that we'll talk about today include vegetation management, asset inspection and maintenance management. There are applications within design and construction management. This can also be used in emergency response for damage assessment and recovery. And then across all of the solutions that we offer, there's a sustainability, or what we learned a couple weeks ago in New Zealand to say conservation solutions that we'll touch on. But these conservation or sustainability solutions can be layered in across all of the infrastructure maintenance operations that we support. So again, focusing on these complex workflows, we'll be touching on utility examples, transportation examples, water, and sustainability or conservation. So let's jump into it. So the first solution that we want to demonstrate is utility vegetation management. This is the thing that we've been doing since our inception in 2007, and probably what we're most known for. So I want to show a brief example of our applications, how they work to run a comprehensive vegetation management program for transmission and distribution electric.
The standard UVM solution is designed for utility managers, administrators, and field personnel to plan, assign, execute, and document various field operations as part of a vegetation management program. To start the demo, I'll assume the role of a utility manager or utility arborist who's planning an assessment on a specific circuit or feeder in the organization's service area. To view active assessments, I'll go to the assessments panel. I can see each record represents an assessment that's ongoing on a specific circuit or feeder or grid or transmission corridor. To create a new assessment, I'll hit the create button. I'll search for the feeder that I want to create an assessment on. Hit next. Fill out some basic attribute information about the assessment type, budget type, assessment year, priority, due date. I'll note the cycle that this feeder is on. I'll assign this to an assessment organization and also assign an assessor. The assessment came in. If I double click on it, I can view details about the assessment. Right now, I'm going to go to the work spans panel, which is where available spans in the feeder are going to be listed, where I can dispatch a task on each of them. This enables the utility manager or the utility arborist to control the scope of work as part of the assessment. If I just want to inspect a few spans on the feeder, I can select them individually. I can also select every single span in the feeder if I want to do a comprehensive assessment. I can also select a single span and zoom to it in the map as well. In this case, I'm going to dispatch all 156 spans as part of the assessment and create task. Once this completes, this assessment is now ready to be sent to field personnel for field assessment activities. So now I'm in ClarianX, which is our mobile tool. I'm going to assume the role of a utility arborist in the field who's documenting any field operations or tasks that need to be complete on this circuit. So let's say I'm starting the very farthest east part of this circuit. Say that I've gone along these spans and there's been no work tasks. I can mark my progress working along this feeder by hitting the authorize button periodically and hitting authorize. This way, as a utility arborist, I can track my progress as I'm documenting tasks along this feeder. Let's say I come across a feeder that needs a removal. I can go to my tasks tab, hit add task. Say I want to drop a point location, drop a point. Let's go down to my task description, and let's say this is a removal of this size class. I can choose a crew type. I can specify a planned quantity, so if there's 1 or 2 removals, set a due date, a priority, can log the species. Any notes that I want to leave, or the crews. If this was a removal that needed homeowner authorization, I could track this information on the task. So describe property information that pulls directly from the parcel data underneath the task. I could also log how I notified the homeowner and whether the task was refused or authorized. Let's say this task is authorized. I'll hit create. And I'll keep going down this feeder, marking tasks and authorizing spans until I've inspected or assessed the entire feeder. So now that my assessment's been complete, I'm going to assume the role of a utility manager who is now wanting to take the work that's been documented as part of an assessment and then dispatch it out to a contractor. So in this case, I'm going to go to our work groups panel. I can see active work groups that are being completed by other contractors and crews. I'll create a new work group, which is going to be on the same feeder that we assessed. I'll hit next, fill out some basic attribute information about this work group. I'll assign a crew organization, which will filter this work group just for this crew organization to see, and I'll select a general foreperson. Once I hit create, I can open up this work group. Now I can go to work tasks. This is where I can see any available tasks that are ready to dispatch to a contractor. Here I can see the 4 work spans that I authorized previously. Then I can also see the removal that I created in ClearionX. So I'm going to dispatch this removal and these 4 work spans to a contractor and hit assign. Now these tasks have been assigned to the contractor. They'll understand now that they have this removal to complete, and they'll check on these spans as well. So now I'm assuming the role of a contractor, a general foreperson or a crew leader who is in ClearionX. I'm currently looking at all the work groups that have been assigned to me by the utility. If I go to my pending work groups, I see that there's a new work group that's been assigned to me on this feeder 934. I can see its due date, the crew organization, in this case, my contracting organization, the GF that's been assigned to it, and some other attribute information. I can open up this work group, throw it in progress. When I open up the work group, I can see the removal that's been assigned to my organization for execution. I can view it on a map. I can open the attributes, see the assessor who planned this work activity, can view the task description, task code, any notes that the utilities left for me, any homeowner authorization information that would be useful when executing this task. Can also view any photos that the utilities left for me about the task. So there's a few things that I can do now. I can assign this out to a specific crew. So maybe I want to choose a crew leader and send this to them so that when they open ClearingX, they can see this task has been assigned to their crew. As a general foreperson or crew leader, once the task is complete, I can simply put it into complete status, write a note here saying removal executed. It'll capture the complete date, time, and who the task was completed by. Now the task has been put into complete status. I also see that the utility has left me 4 spans that they'd like me to review. Potentially, if I find any new tasks that need to be executed on this section of line. So I can go down the list, and as I'm done looking at a section of span, I can complete it. Maybe on this next section of line, I find another removal that needs to be complete. As a general foreperson, I have the ability to add tasks myself. So I can go and add a removal task, just as the utility arborist would. I can label it with a task description, set the crew type that was used, the quantity of removals, hit complete. This way, any work that the contractor does can be documented in this work group. Again, as a GF, I'm also able to review any parcels or properties that are nearby. I can also view any safety notes or access information that the utilities left for me. And again, view any asset information in the vicinity. Let's say that I'm done with this workflow. I've inspected or completed work on all the spans that the utilities wanted me to. I can send those to complete. I can zoom out and see that all the tasks are now in a complete status, so this work is complete. These tasks will then be available for a general foreperson in the contractor to review, potentially submit any tasks for rework, and then they'll be available for the utility to do their own round of rework as well.
Okay, great. So the next demo that we've prepared is again for distribution. Let's see, is my screen sharing? Okay. Bear with me one moment. Okay, make sure my screen was sharing again. Asset inspection and maintenance management for electric utilities, again, T&D electric, includes overhead and structure inspections, any pad mounted gear, support for UAV or drone inspections, aerial patrols, aerial visual patrols, reactive and planned maintenance, and including optional integration with enterprise asset management. And with that quick intro, we will jump over to the next demo.
Hey everyone. Our next demo will be Clearion's Asset Inspection and Maintenance solution. This solution allows electric utilities to inspect their structures, find conditions, and plan for mitigating these conditions during their inspections. So let's get started. We're going to be looking at a comprehensive ground inspection. We'll see an overview where we can see the relative status of some of the structure inspections as parts of this larger assessment on a line. When we move in, we'll have a few different panels to support asset inspection and maintenance. We have a condition panel. These are the issues that have been found during an inspection. We have the actual inspection records, which are basically a way to capture milestones and statuses of your inspections and details that relate to the inspection. As well as we have a work task panel. This is where you can plan for mitigating those issues that we find. So we'll just zoom in here. We see that every one of the structures on this line has an inspection created, and we created those in Clearion Web. We see that this inspection at structure number 149 was passed. This inspection at structure 150 had a condition identified. So this is basically a failed inspection. And then we have some inspections that have not been completed yet, like we see with structure number 152. So what we'll do is we'll start with 152. We can open it up. We can see details about the structure, what type it is, the inspection type that we're doing, and other details. We could simply pass this if we wanted to, but in this example, we're going to create a condition that relates to why this is a failed inspection. So I hit my Add Related Condition button. I can identify that this structure's cross arm is broken using these cascading lookup tables, which are all configurable based off attributes that any utility wants to capture during an inspection. We can also select what type of rating or priority the issue is, leave notes, see an edit history, and add attachments. So I'm going to add an attachment to help those who may return to the field or those back in the office understand what is wrong at this inspection. So I can see that I just took a picture of the broken cross arm, and then we can share that when we add this condition to the map. When we add the condition, it's going to automatically trigger a status change for our inspection, which just turned it red because it is now failed. And that is a simple way you can get through doing an asset inspection and maintenance workflow in Clearion X. What I'll also show is how to basically plan to mitigate that broken cross-arm issue. So what I can do is I can select the structure and the condition that I just created. You see that cross-arm, high priority, rating, condition. I can open it up and see the details. This could be done by the same person who did the inspection or an engineer who comes to follow up and plan how they're going to mitigate this broken cross arm. And in this example, what we're going to do is plan for the cross arm to be repaired. So I will then add a work location to the map. These work locations can then be tied back as individual work tasks to any type of enterprise asset management or work order software. So here we'll see a bunch of different repair tasks. what we're looking for is the repair cross-arm task. You can put an estimated amount of hours, add other details, notes, and see where this may fall on some adjacent property and the information related to that landowner, any types of information relating to getting authorization or potentially refusal to do this type of work. But really creates a nice hierarchical structure going back to the source GIS, your inspection in time, conditions that you might find during inspection, and how to mitigate those conditions that we find in the field. Thanks.
Okay, so we will turn now away from electric utility examples and provide a demonstration of a very similar asset inspection and maintenance workflow for water utilities. And this demonstration in this water solution for asset inspection and maintenance is for routine inspections on assets like hydrants and valves, seasonal work tasks like flushing and winterization, any reactive work that might occur from broken meters or service main breaks. It can also be used to support inventory. You can build a multi-year schedule, and it creates an entire full history of any work, whether it be inspections or repair tasks that were done in the field. So again, building on the GIS data that you might maintain in your Esri GIS, we're layering these asset inspection and maintenance workflows on top.
Hey folks. So Water AIM is a map-based software solution that enables utility managers and field personnel to plan, execute, and document maintenance activities and inspections on various assets in a water utility network. I'll be going through just a basic inspection workflow where utility manager will create a systematic inspection group where they can create pre-planned hydrant inspections in Clarion Web, our office tool, that will then be sent out to field personnel for completion and documentation. So here's Clarion Web, our browser-based office tool. It's where managers and administrators can see, a bird's eye view of their asset inspection and maintenance solution. They can see active inspection groups that are ongoing, see, active work tasks that are being completed, view historical records on assets, and then view resourcing and access to the Clarion system. So to create a new inspection group, I'll go to the inspections panel, hit create. I can choose a specific route that I want to create this inspection group on. Fill out some very basic information about who the inspector is, due dates, the inspection type. In this case, it'll be a fire hydrant inspection workflow, priority ranking, and then cycle. So once I create the inspection group, I'll open it up. I can view some detailed information about this inspection group in the feature attributes table. Before I dispatch this out to field personnel, I want to actually create, pre-planned inspections that field crews can then document. So here it says I have 240 available fire hydrants to create inspections on. If this were a systematic, pre-planned inspection workflow, I could, pre-create inspections on every single fire hydrant. Could also select a subset. Can also, just for context, view fire hydrants in the field by selecting a record and saying select from map. In this case, I'll dispatch out 3 inspections on 3 various fire hydrants. Now we can see that there are hydrant inspections created on 3 fire hydrants, and this is ready to be dispatched to the field. So let me take the role of field personnel who's just received this inspection group. Can find it in ClarionX. Here I'll open up this group and we'll see those 3 fire hydrant inspections come in as pending. Now I can see a tabular view of those inspection records that are in pending status. If I click a record, I can zoom to where that inspection record is, bright and green, or bright and yellow, sorry. So as a field crew, I can open up the inspection form, see some front matter, including the inspection record name, task ID, the route number that I'm on, address, hydrant attributes, all of which are pulled from the underlying asset. Then I can start to go down the list of the inspection form. So I can go through my checklist and say, okay, I've opened the outlet, done pressure testing, applied lubrication. I have places to mark where there might need maintenance. So let's say there's a broken chain, I can mark that here. Maybe I can go down, write some notes, chain broken, attach a photo. Nice photo of a fire hydrant. Then I can change the status of the fire hydrant, the failed maintenance required. Then I've logged my notes, changed the status. Now this is ready to be picked up maybe at a later time when the crews are able to complete the maintenance required. Let's say they come back on another day. They can see that this fire hydrant has failed its inspection. They can see the historical work that's been done on this inspection record. And then any notes that are left for them, say they complete the maintenance, fix the broken chain, they can then pass this to past maintenance complete. And let's say these 2 inspection records pass. So we can click on both of them and pass them. And we'll see that inspections that passed are colored in green.
Okay, so we'll turn now to our transportation solutions. And this particular demo will be a little bit longer because we are going to combine roadside and rail vegetation management with some short examples of asset maintenance, asset management and maintenance operations. So again, same applications layered over Esri data that's pulling directly from the existing GIS with layers like roads and signs and assets, rights of way, land layers, and then we will demonstrate roadside vegetation management, including mowing and herbicide. Can also support any tree removals and brushwork, invasive species targeting, and then inspection and repair of roadside assets.
Hi everyone. What I'm going to do is show a few of the transportation solutions we have in the Clarion applications. And I'll start off here with a vegetation management workflow. And within this workflow, what we're going to do is create a new work group for a county and then apply routes to that work group as tasks. And we've deployed this type of solution for mowing cycles and also for herbicide application. And you could imagine that this could be applicable to really any type of work that you need to deploy your crews at the route level. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here in the Clarion web application is start creating this new work group. You can see here the list of all the counties that are available in the data. This could also be towns, it could be provinces, however you want to deploy your work. We'll select Union County here. And in the next panel, I'm going to fill out some of the basic information for this work group. Now in here, all of this is configurable in the application. So if there's other fields that you need and other information that you need to save to your work groups, that can certainly get put into these types of panels. I'm going to put this with a due date of the 13th. I'm going to create this new work group. You can see here, it gets dropped into this table. Next, I'll double click to open up the attributes of this work group. You can see some of the information that we've already filled out, but the first thing I'm going to do here is go into this route task panel. And in here, you're going to see all the routes that are available for Union County. Now, these have all been loaded into the GIS data, and you're going to see only the routes for Union in here. I can select them individually and also select all of them, which is what I'm going to do here and create these new tasks. Now you can see here, all of these tasks have moved to the assigned status. I'm going to go back to the details panel here, and what I'm going to do is switch the status from pending to active. And what that's going to do is make this work group and these work tasks available in the Clarion X field application. Now, once I save, what I'll do now is pivot over to that field application and show you how we complete those tasks in the field. So I've already got the application here on the work group panel. I'll hit the refresh button. We're going to see here, we're going to pull in that new Union work group. I'll click on that here. Again, it's going to bring up some of the basic information we have in that work group. You're going to see we've got these 11 tasks assigned, and they're here in the map. But what I'll do is click next here. This is going to bring us into the work task panel. You can see here all the routes that we've deployed out to the field. Got a few options in here. You can select all the routes and do bulk updates. Let's say we want to set them all to active. And also you can go into the individual route here and edit the individual attributes. Now you can see all the attributes available within this route task, some of which field crews can fill out. Again, like the web application, all of this is configurable. So whatever fields are editable, what you want to have shown in here can really be tailored to your particular workflows. Once this task is completed, you can mark this as complete. You can see here we've got an action that stamps the date and user of the application automatically when you complete this task. And then I'll hit submit here, and you can see that task has been dropped into the complete status. And again, too, you can also bulk update, bulk complete these. Now you can see they've all been dropped in the complete status, and also all of the symbology has been updated as well. I'll head back here just to the work group panel, show really quick. We also can link directly out to a dashboard from here. And this dashboard initially is going to be filtered for Union County because that's where we're coming from in the application. You can see here, here's Union County. Here's all of our route tasks we've completed. And then I can also, in this dashboard, click on all the work groups, and now we see all the work groups that were assigned in this data. Okay, next here I'll focus on transportation asset management solutions. We've got three distinct workflows here that I'll show you. Those would be cycle inspections, work assessments, and work activities. Now I'm going to focus here on the Clarion X field application. I've already built the data out, the work groups and work tasks in Clarion Web. And I'll show you here specifically how we complete that work in the field. So a little bit different here from the vegetation management workflow is that the work groups for asset management are the routes, and the assets themselves are going to be the tasks. So here in the work groups panel, we'll see our routes displayed. I'm going to click on one of these routes here to open up the work group page. Very similar to any of the other solutions. General information here about the work group. You can see we have 67 culverts that need to be inspected. This is a small culverts inventory here. Okay, so now that we've got the work task panel opened up, you can see all the individual culverts that need to be inspected on this route. You can also click in and see all the culverts that are available as well, and we can turn that layer off or on as we choose. So what I'll do here for one of these inspections, I'm going to go in and click on the edit button here and dive into this task. So the task here is going to have some of the simple information about what the task is, the inspection, the due date, so on and so forth. But really what we're digging into here is this inspection history. So within the inspection history, you can see previous inspections that were completed. Here, this one was completed on April 23rd, 2021. That inspection there, all the data within it, you can go in and look at it, but it's all read only. We're going to focus on this inspection that's required here that has been built out in Clarion Web, all of these additional inspections that need to be completed. So in here, you can see that all of the information from the previous inspection has been populated already. And the end user, all they need to do is either verify that nothing's changed or update information that has changed. And having all that information in there, especially when you have this many fields and attributes to fill out, is really handy for your end user, so they don't have to go in and fill out all of these fields. They're just making updates. Once all those updates are completed, they can mark that inspection as complete. It freezes these fields here, so that inspection information isn't changed by someone else in the future. Here we can submit that. I'll look back into the inspection history. You can see here that it's now completed. And then what I can do as well is complete that task. That inspection task is done, stamps my username and the date on there after I completed it. I'll submit that as well. And you can see those inspections here in the map are getting their symbology updated. Okay, so next I'm going to back out here and change my role to the work assessment. And the work assessment role really is after the inspections are completed, what you're going to do in the Clarion Web application is query that data and find out, okay, based on these inspections, where do we need to get some more detailed assessments on these assets? So say an inspection reveals that you have a critical barrel condition in your small culvert, or say you have a plugged culvert. You then create those work tasks and set maintenance assessments on those work tasks. So in here, same concept, you have routes here and those tasks are on those routes. I'm going to choose route 2 here, and you can see all of the assessments that need to be completed on this route. We've got 7 on there right now. So I'll move over to the work task panel. And here we are, very similar to the end user. These are all the assessments that need to be completed. So I'll choose one here. Now within this assessment, you can see it's a maintenance assessment. You can see the due date, very similar to the inspections, but now we also have the maintenance history in here as well. So you can look at the history of what's happened on this asset. This one in particular had a rehabilitation on it on May 25th. And you can look in here, get some details about that rehabilitation. It was a road settling repair. But in particular, we can also go back in the inspection history here and view that as well. But in particular, what we're going to do is focus on what are the attributes of the maintenance activity that need to happen on this asset. So you can enter a few different maintenance types in here. You can see the assessment focuses that were applied in Clarion Web when these tasks were created to tell your end users, here's the assessment that you really need to do on here. We've got separation problems. We also have sinkhole problems on this. We probably you know, a poor barrel condition as well on this one. So that's going to tell your end user what they can focus on. And then what they can do is put in their descriptions or severities, so on and so forth. Any number of fields can be added into here as well, of course, if your workflow requires some more detailed information than you're seeing here. Again, just like with inspections, you can add attachments into this as well. And then after this is completed, mark it as complete and submit it. So now here I'm going to pivot over to the final workflow, which is going to be in a different mode here. It's in a crew mode as opposed to an assessments mode, and that's going to be the maintenance activities workflow. And in the maintenance activities workflow, concepts are very much the same here. The routes are going to be your work groups. I'm going to go in and click on a route here. Let's see, we've got US Route 2 again. I'll move past the work group page. And now in here, again, we have a work task page. I'll click on a work task. It's going to look a little bit different in here because the task itself here is for a maintenance activity. So we can see the task. And this is a sediment removal here. So again, we can see the inspection history if we'd like to, and then here we can see the maintenance history. What's a little bit different than the assessment, you can see that we have a maintenance required here within this history. You can see the previous history, but in this maintenance required, that's where your end user is going to go in and edit this maintenance task. So within here, you can see a bit of information about this activity. You know, it's a sediment removal, it's a rehabilitation. Then of course, the person can enter any materials used, amounts, costs, the equipment that's used in this, and any detailed information about that maintenance activity. When that maintenance is complete, of course, they mark it as complete. It's going to stamp their username and their date on here.
Okay, great. And so now we will turn to our last demo. And if anybody has any questions that have come up, please feel free to drop them in the questions section of the webinar software. The conservation solutions that we support, again, as I said earlier, span all of the workflows that we've demonstrated today. They can also be used as standalone workflows. And what we're trying to do here is to encourage the overlap of conservation with infrastructure construction and maintenance activities to support any initiatives that you might have. We will, looking at the time, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into this last demo and save a little bit of time for Q&A.
So now we're going to pivot to our workflows related to sustainability and conservation. Generally, these workflows are designed to enable field crews and environmental departments to create, view, and edit any sort of data products that are related to the success of the organization's conservation or sustainability efforts. So here we have our habitat mode, which is part of the standard UVM solution. This enables field crews and generally clearing users to see, create, and edit any sort of sites or management areas that the organization is developing for habitat. Habitat sites and habitat management areas are concepts that come directly from the Right-of-Ways Habitat Working Groups, Monarch CCAA. They also have the concept of a pollinator scorecard, which we'll get into in a second. Here, if I'm a field user, I can see that there are a few management areas that the organization is tracking on a transmission right-of-way. If I want to, I can select a management area in the list view, zoom to it on a map. Can zoom in even further to see the management area ID. I can contextualize this area by underlaying satellite imagery. If I want, I can click on the management area and view attributes, including the area's ID, name, location, and other attributes as well. These management areas can be underlaid to have other operations data alongside it, or users can view simply these habitat management areas on their own. If I'm a user and I have a few locations that I'd like to log in Clearion as under management for habitat, I can zoom to the area and add a management area, draw in the polygon where that area is under management, and then fill out the corresponding attribute data. Say I'm a user and I want to collect some data or information about the health of these management areas. So I want to see, how those areas have been developing over time. If there's more markers that, the habitat in those zones are becoming healthier, this is where the idea of the pollinator scorecard comes in. So again, this was a criteria-based index developed by the Right of Ways Habitat Working Group. So if I'm a field user and I'm trying to assess the health of this management area, I can click Add Scorecard. And this is going to bring up the pollinator scorecards, a list of criteria. I can just drop a point on the management area where the user is in the field. Then I can begin to fill out the attributes of the scorecard. So the evaluation date, name of the assessor will auto-populate, name of the site, monitoring type, is it a baseline assessment or post-activity assessment? The scorecard has a series of tiers, basic being the least involved, the quickest to fill out, detailed being most in depth. These questions range from topics on adjacent land use. Is there cropland nearby? Is it developed or a built environment? Is it woodlands? Standalone questions about how much flowering nectar plant cover there is in the management area as a percentage. Habitat resources that are present in that management area. Native bunch grasses, brush piles, dead woods and snags. Other places to log the amount of plant species that are present in the management area. All of this will be aggregated and put into a pollinator score, which can be used as an index to assess the health of this management area. So when the scorecard's complete, users can hit create, and this information will be logged and documented and archived in relation to this management area for future users or environmental departments to reference later on.
Okay, I want to thank you for your time today. We did have one question come in related to how our applications are leveraging existing GIS data. So all the applications that you've seen today, all the solution areas that you've seen require an Esri named user license. and they authenticate through the ArcGIS portal, and therefore all of the underlying land and asset data that you see are able to be pulled directly from your enterprise GIS. Dan, I'll hand it back to you.
Unmute myself. Yes, so if there are no more questions, we'll leave it there. We're just about at time. So thanks to Chris for being part of the webinar today. It's actually 7 o'clock last night in Atlanta, so thanks Chris for joining us in the future. And also thanks to all of you for joining. A recording of the webinar will be uploaded to the Eagle website, so keep an eye on our socials to see when it's available. And please share this with folk that may not have been able to join today, or anyone else that you think might be interested in what we have seen today. So you can see there's a few different solution areas there which we covered off. Also, if there are any questions that pop up, please contact either myself, dac@eagle.co.nz, or reach out to your Eagle account manager or technical advisor. So with that, we'll leave you to your day. Mā te wā.
Cheers, everyone.